Welcome everyone. In this episode of Intro to InDesign, I'm going to talk about master pages, how they work, and how you can set them up for your document. I have a book that I published on Adobe Illustrator, and of course, because InDesign is excellent at laying out books, I would use InDesign to lay out the entire content of this book. And then in this particular chapter, you can see that I've imported images, put copy onto the pages, and formatted my book. You can walk through this book using my Pages panel to see how all the content flows in. Now, what does this have to do with master pages? Well, master pages allow me to set up a template for this book so that everything falls in the same location on each page, each spread, and each chapter. The items that I would put on a master page would be all these tabs on the side, my page numbering, my headers, and also set up my entire structure for my margins and my columns and any bleeds necessary with my document. And the reason why I do this on a master page is so that everything fits the way it should, is in the same location, and doesn't end up in different areas of my document or not line up, say, like the tabs. Now, it's very easy to set up a master page, and we're going to show you how this actually works. So, starting out, there's two different types of layouts that you can have for your InDesign document. One of them is a single page, and the other one is what we call a facing page. Now, paying attention to the Pages panel here, right now I'm showing you a facing page document. And what is a facing page document? Well, if I were to go in and go into the File menu and create a new document, one of the default settings that there is a new 8.5 by 11 document, and this facing page box is checked. Facing pages are there if you are actually creating a book as your end product. And facing pages look just like this here in the Pages panel, where you have a page facing the other page with a spine going down the middle. So this layout in my Pages panel is going to be my front cover, my inside left, my inside right, and then my back cover if this were going to be a simple 4-page book. That's facing pages. Now if we turn off the facing page button and we create a new document, the new document is going to look like this, where you will have what we call a single page document. And a single page document doesn't mean that it's just one single page. It means that it's based on a single page layout. So I may have multiple single pages in my document that then lay out as such. Now, this is something that if you forget and you set up your document, go into the File menu and choose New, you have checked the facing page button for your document, and you click Create, and you realize that your page layout is set up with facing pages. Now you can just close out of this document and start a new document, but you can also go in and change your facing page document to be a single page document. Under the File menu, you can go to Document Setup and uncheck the facing pages. Click OK, and that is going to bring you back to your single page document. However, it does leave you with two master pages. If you do end up switching your facing page document to a single page document like I just did, I'm going to select one of my master pages and simply delete it, and then my master page will reflect my actual layout in my document. So let's start off with what works on a master page, how it works, and what it looks like. So I have my single page document set up. And when I created this document, 8.5 by 11, I said no facing pages. I said I want 4 pages in this document, and I clicked Create. And this is what I got. Now, this is fine, I can begin my layout here, but I really haven't done anything to help me out with any structure say you're going to have an automatic page number on every page, or you would like to go in and create a 2-column setup for your text, or you'd like to change your margins and columns. There's a lot of things we can do with a master page to help us with our layout, rather than just giving us a blank page to start with. So, if I go back into the File menu and choose New, and I'm going to say No Facing Pages, 8.5 by 11 is fine, but I would like to have a 2-column format on my page. I'm going to set up the columns, and then my margins here, top, bottom, left, and right, I may want a little bit more margin on the bottom and more margin on the top because I may be putting a logo or an address or a header to give this more room. Now I'm going to click Create. So this is my new layout, and when I zoom out here, you'll notice that I now have larger margins at the top and bottom. I now have a 2-column format on my grid, and all my pages now look the same. Why does it look the same? Because of the master page. So let's check out the master page and see what happens when we start working with items on the master page. In the Pages panel, if you don't have that up, go into the Window menu and choose Pages. Here, in the Pages panel, you're going to see the Master section at the top, and then you're going to see your Page Layout section below this divider bar, and this divider bar is adjustable. Here we have 2 different types of master pages. Our A master, you can have multiple masters, A, B, C, D, consecutive. And then we have none, which is basically a single blank page with no content on it. We're going to talk about that too. So here is my A master page. Now, something interesting, you have been using master pages all along. You just didn't know it because you probably didn't put anything on the master page for your template. In the Pages panel, you'll notice that each page is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, but it also has a letter, and that letter corresponds to the master page that is applied to each and every one of your pages in your document. Now, you may think, oh, it's just blank. Well, it is, but also when we set up this document, we told it to give different margins, top, bottom, left, and right, and divide up the number of columns here, and that's all on the master page. I'm going to double-click on the master page, and it's going to call this up so we can see what we have here. Now, don't just click on the master page, or don't just click on one of your pages in the document that selects it. What you need to do is you need to double-click in order to get to that specific page in the document or to your master page. Clicking on it once won't get you there. If you are not sure if you are on the master page or on a page in the document, in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, there is a drop-down menu that allows you to go to any page in the document or go to your master page. You can do it by double-clicking here, and if you're a visual person, you can use the drop-down menu here or the pop-up menu and choose what you want to be on. I'm now on my master page. And one of the most common things that you want on a master page is a page number. So, because I'm on my master page, I'm going to create a text container. And with this text container, I'm going to put in a page number. So I'm going to type in the number 1, and I'm going to center my page number in the center of my page. I'm going to choose a font that I would like to use for that page number, and I'm going to set the size of that page number, and this is now on my master page in the location that I would like it on every single page. And whatever I put on the master page will appear on every page in my document. In this case, I have an A master page. You'll notice that all of these say A, so whatever I put on this A master page will appear on every page here. So let me double click on page 1, and sure enough, there's my automatic page number, or my page number I should say. But this one also says 1, and this one also says 1. Why? Because whatever you put on the master page will appear on every single page. So lesson number 1, how do you do automatic page numbering? Well, going back to my master page, I do have to create a text container. The only problem is I can't type in an actual page number because whatever I put on the master page will appear on every single page. So if I type in the number 1, of course every page is going to be a number 1. So I need to put in an automatic page number. So I've created my text container, and in this text container, I'm going to go into the Type menu. I'm going to choose Insert Special Character. A page number is going to be a marker, and I'm going to choose Insert Current Page Number, which, funny enough, gives me the letter A. And you're like, wait a second, I could just type in the letter A? No, you can't, okay? If you type in the letter A, of course, the letter A is going to show up on every single page. The reason why the letter A shows up when you choose Type, Special Character, Insert Current Page Number is because you are on your A master page. If we were to do this on the B master page, the letter B would show up. I don't understand why they would put a letter in here for an automatic page number. I wish they would do a better job at defining what that is, because it does mess with people when they begin using InDesign. If you're a seasoned user, you just get used to it. Now let's check out how this automatic page number shows up on the page. I'm going to double click on page 1, double click on page 2, page 3, and page 4. Wow, that's wonderful. Automatic page numbering. And again, whatever I put on the master page shows up on all the other pages of my document. I'm going to zoom back out here. I'm going to go back to my master page because now I'd like to set up a little bit different structure here. I'd like to create more items on this page that are going to appear on every page in my document. So going back to my master page, I think I'm going to put a line across the top margin, and I'm going to bump up the stroke weight, and I'm going to change the tint of that to be a lighter tint. And I'm also going to duplicate that same shape by holding down my Option or Alt, dragging that down to the bottom, and this is going to create kind of a frame for me. Now, I'm going to be doing some type of layout for an architectural firm because there may be an RFP or some data that I'd like to put in here, or something for the client, or a response, whatever it is, I want to lay this out. So I'm going to place a logo in here. I'm going to go under File, Place, and I'm going to grab the logo that I have for this company. I'm going to place it. And again, I'm placing this on the master page. And I place it into my container, and I'm going to put that up at the top, kind of nested right there at the top. So this is what's going to appear on every single page, because I've done this on my master page. Let's take a look and see how this works. Double click on page 1, scroll through all of these, page 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is fantastic, just like I need. But then I realize, oh, you know what, if I'm doing some type of presentation, on page 1, I'm probably going to want a cover page that doesn't have all this on here. Well, this is what the blank or the none master page allows us to do. It allows you to just stick a single page into the document anywhere in here, and it doesn't have it based on any other master page. So I can do this in a couple different ways. I can go to my master page and grab the none or the blank master page, and I can drop it in. And you'll notice when you drop it in, you have to drop it before or after these pages. You can't go in between, okay? So when you put it in, you'll see this vertical line. I'm going to put it before the page. This is a little tricky, okay? So now you'll notice that I now have a blank master page. How do I know that? Because there is no letter associated with this specific page in the document. Now I'm going to undo this, and I'm going to show you another way we can insert pages by going to the Pages panel cheese grater, choose Insert Pages, and it asks you, how many pages would you like, before or after? Here, I want to say at the start of the document, based on what? Your master page or a simple blank page? I'm going to choose my blank or my none master at the start of my document, and I click OK. Wonderful. Now, I can't put anything on this blank master page because it's blank, and this gives me the freedom to put anything on this page that I want to. Great. Well, I'm going to go to page 2 here because page 1 is my cover, And I go to page 2 and it's like, oh man, you know what? Now my page numbering's off. How do I go in and do this so that my page numbering actually works correctly? Well, it isn't uncommon that you have a cover sheet or a few pages in your document before this actually starts. And page number 1 may be the cover, and we don't normally put page number 1 on here, but this may be the cover, and then you want page number 2 to be page number 1. So automatic page numbering can work for you just fine. So here's what I'm going to do in order to make the automatic page numbering work. I'm going to double click on page 1, then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to my numbering and section options. Here it says automatic page numbering is on, which is great. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, with my page numbering, I'm going to delineate this page as a separate section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my section prefix here, and I'm just going to type in like the letter C for cover, okay? And you'll see why. So now I'm going to click OK. So it says C1, C2. Okay. Now I'm going to go to my actual first page of my printed document, but it's the second page of my document, and I want this to be actually page number 1. So when I double click on the second page in my document that I would like to tell InDesign to be page number 1, I'm going to right click, I'm going to choose numbering and section options, and I say I want to start this at page number 1. Now I'm not going to put a section prefix in here. I just want this to be number 1 in my document, and now I'm going to click OK. And now you'll notice that we have our cover, basically our first cover page, and then our second page in our document, which is technically our first numbered page, comes out to be number 1. So why did I go in and right click and choose my numbering and section options and give this a prefix? Because I can't have 2 page number 1s in my document. So this is why I called it my C1 or my cover 1, and this is why I called it just 1. Because if I put these both as page number 1s, InDesign's going to say, hey, you can't have 2 page number 1s, you've got to call number 1 different. So that's why I call this kind of my cover page, cover 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The triangles at the top tell me that I have a section start, and a section start allows me to say, I want this numbered in a certain way, and a new section starts, so I want this numbered in a certain way. Why would we do that? Well, I may have, after this section, wanted something in terms of different numbering. So what happens if I'd like to have Arabic numerals, or Roman numerals, or numbers? Well, I can go in and I can have my cover, and then I can have multiple pages with Roman numerals, and then for my preface, my introduction, and then when I actually get to the meat of the book here, that could be 5 pages in, then I could actually start with the page numbering where we relate to the first page of the meat of the document. So pretty cool. I like this. Now, there's my basic setup for my document. Now, I'm on the pages in my document, and I want to do some changes to the items on my master page, but I can't. And they're not locked. Okay, I go to my layers panel, and these items are not locked by my layers. They're not locked by my object here. I don't have lock or unlock available. When you put something on a master page and then it appears in your document here, it is basically protected on the master page. And it's kind of hard to see, but any item that's on a master page actually shows as a dotted line. Why is that important? Well, because if I draw any type of frame on the page, you'll notice that my frame that I normally work with here is the solid blue, but if I see this dotted line, that tells me that item is based on the master page and is basically protected or locked from being able to be moved or messed with. Which is great because you don't have to accidentally worry that you're going to move it around at all. But it could be a pain later on. So we're going to show you how to unlock an item on a master page if you don't want it. So I have got my master page set up, and all the pages look exactly the same. That's the whole point of a master page, setting up your template, putting all your content in. But you know what, on page number 1, I may want to change just one aspect of this right here. And I want to get rid of this house on the very first page, because I may want to put something else on this page right here, just on page 1. And I don't want to set up a totally different master page. I just want to get rid of this. On a Mac, I'm going to hold down Shift Command. On a PC, I'm going to hold down Shift Control, and I'm going to click. And I'm going to release this from the master page. Now, releasing it from the master page allows me to unlock this and delete it. If I've done this out of error, I can always take my master page, drag it back onto that page, and reapply anything that I've done. Now, in this particular case, I'm going to unlock this by holding my Shift Command, and I'm going to move this to the middle. I'm going to put that right here, okay? So I've unlocked and I've moved it. So now page 1 is unique because my other master page elements are still there, but I've unlocked and I've moved this master page element. I'm going to go back to my master page here, and I'm going to show you what happens when we do this. I'm going to rotate this picture upside down or some funky way on my master page. Now let's go in, and you can see that that change happens on every single page. And even though on the first page I unlocked and moved this, this is still connected to the master page, even though it's not in the same location. Pretty interesting, huh? So when I put items on the master page, I still have a little bit of leeway of unlocking them and moving them around manually and having it still be linked to the master page. So kind of cool. Now, sometimes you may want to remove page numbers. Say the first page, you don't want the page number on this page. I'm going to Shift Command or Shift Control click and remove the page number. People ask me, well, is this going to mess up the page number? Well, no, page number 1 is number 1, whether you have a page number on it or not. If I go to page number 2, you can see that it's still there. And if I'd like to return everything on this page back to the original master page, moving this back over, putting my page number back on, I can grab that A master page and drop it on there. Nice. Now what happens if I decide, you know what, I don't want a master page applied to this? I could Shift Command click on each and every one of those elements and delete them, or I could grab my blank master page, drop it onto my first page here, and basically say, you know what, get rid of those master page elements. I've now just dragged the no or the blank master page on here, so now I have a free page with none of my master page elements on there. There it is. Now the page numbering still works because page number 2 is still going to be 2 because it's second in line from my section start. So, interesting things. Now you can have multiple master pages in your document. You could have an A master, a B master, a C master, all different layouts. And it's quite easy. How do you create a new master page? Simple. Go to the Pages panel, Cheese Grater, and choose a new master. And it comes in as a B master. It asks you orientation, size, everything else, and I click OK. Here's my new B master page. Now on my B master page, I would like to set up different content and a different layout. In fact, I'd like this to be 3 columns, so I'm on my B master page, going under the Layout menu, Margins and Columns. I'm going to set my columns to 3 columns, and I'm going to click OK. Now, I'd like to also go in and put in my automatic page numbering. Well, if I just go and I draw a new container on this page, and put my cursor in there, and choose Type, Insert Special Character, Marker Current Page Number, it's going to give me a totally different page number in a different location. So I'm going to do this great little shortcut. I'm going to go back to my A master page, copy this container, okay, Command or Control C. I'm going to go back to my B master page, and I'm not just going to choose Paste. I'm going to choose Edit, Paste in Place. And you'll notice, because we're on our B master page, that automatic page number will show up as a text container with the letter B, showing us that that automatic page number is on our B master page. Pretty cool, okay? So if I now have a 3-column layout here, that's fantastic. And let's go back to our page. So here's page number 1, here's page number 2, and I decide that on page number 1, I would like to apply my B master page, which is going to be a 3-column layout. I can drag that right onto my first page. Now I have my B master page with 3 columns, followed by page number 2, which is my A master page. Works really well. Now, I want to start putting text on these pages. Now, I haven't put any text container on the master pages, which means if I grab a text container on my second page and I put it in here, I'm going to have to put my text container in here, and then I'm going to have to change the number of columns, and then I'm going to fill it with some placeholder text, and then I have to go to the next page, and if I do this on the next page, this text container isn't going to be in the same location with the same font. So going in and setting up my text containers manually on each page is not a great idea. So I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to set my text containers up on my master page. So I'm going to go to my A master page, and I'm going to draw a text container, and I'm going to make sure that it's in the location that I want it, and it's going to be set up so that I have 2 columns here. It's kind of hard to see the columns because the columns match the columns on the page. So there's my text container right there. And that's how I'd like my text container to look. Now, if I go to my page where my A master page is applied, there's my text container. But you notice I can't select it because it's on the master page. So if I take my type tool and I try to select it, it won't let me get to that text container. And it's like, oh my gosh, do I have to unlock the text container on every single page? And it's like, well, you do, because remember, anything that you put on the master page is going to be locked. So if I did want to put type in here manually, I would have to go to my page in my document. I'd have to Shift Command or Shift Control click to unlock that page, and then I can begin typing or flowing my copy in and fill in all my content. Now, this is not the formatting that I want. I want a totally different font. I want to work with a paragraph style. I want it formatted in a way, and this is not the copy that I want. So I'm going to go back to my master page here, and with my text container on the master page, I am going to set up the look and the feel and the style and the size and the spacing of my font. So on my master page, I'm going to put in some placeholder text, and I'm not just going to put in this placeholder text and leave it, because if I do this, then when I go to any of my pages in my document, that same text shows up, and then you have to click on it and you have to delete it. I'm just using this to set up my paragraph style here so that we can make it look good throughout the entire document. So I'm on my master page, I'm in my text container, and I flow some copy in and I select everything. Now I'm going to go to my font menu, and I'm going to set a font that I think is going to work well, and I'm going to set the point size of it, and I'm going to set the leading as well, and I'm going to go to my paragraph formatting, and I want a little bit of space after the paragraph formatting, and I may just do a first line indent on those lines too. So this is how my copy is going to look throughout my entire document. Now, I don't want to leave the copy in my master page because, like I said, it will show up on every page in my document. Not what I want. But if I format it this way, and then I delete all the copy out of this, watch this. Okay, so I formatted it and then deleted the copy, and you think, okay, it's all gone. Where's the formatting? I'm going to go back to my page here, and I'm going to Shift Command click to unlock that. And then when I put in my copy, check this out. So then when I go back to the page in my document, and I Shift Command click to unlock it, and I begin to type, you'll notice that that formatting picks up from my master page. That's pretty slick because I didn't have to tell it what font and anything else because I had set that on the master page here. Now, it is a smart idea to make a paragraph style. Even though we formatted the text container and then deleted the copy, it still retains that formatting. Just out of habit, I am going to go and select that paragraph and go under my styles, my paragraph styles, and I'm going to create a new paragraph style. And I'm going to call this body copy. And I'm going to make sure that this has the style applied to it, and click OK. Select everything, apply the body copy. That's great. Now, even if I delete everything in this container on the master page, you'll notice when I put my cursor in here, it's still formatted as the body copy. It's just a smart thing to do, okay? Because you don't want to go to your actual page in the document here and have to fill in all your copy and then change the font. So setting it up on the master page is a really smart thing to do so that the container itself is automatically pre-formatted. So if I go to any page here and I flow copy in, it's automatically formatted and all the content looks just the way I want it to, with a whole lot less steps. That's pretty sweet. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my other page here, page 2. I've got my blank copy, but you know what? I'd like to put in some image containers. So I'm going to go back to my master page here, and this may be somebody's bio. So I would like to go in and put an image container in here so that we could drop the image in and have it fit correctly. So in this particular case, I'm actually going to go to my rectangle frame tool, and I'm going to draw a container where I want my headshot to go in. Now, why am I using the box with the X in it? Because I specifically want to tell it that this is a graphic. Now, you don't have to use this box with the X in it, but the one thing that I do want to do, because this container is on the master page, I want to tell it what's going into this container. So if I draw the container, I'm going to go under Content, and I'm going to say, I want this to be a graphic. So it's going to put that X inside there so it knows that it's going to be an image or a graphic that's going to be going in there. Now, this image is on the same layer as my text container, and this is not a good idea. Here's the reason why. If I put my image here, and I'm also going to put a text wrap around this image on my master page, so I go under Window Text Wrap, and I'm going to put a little buffer zone around here so the text will flow around my image. And I'm going to place my image right there at the top of my container, there. So when I flow my copy in, it will go around my image, and then the image container will go ahead and have the image in it. I'm going to show you what happens when you put these both on the same layer. I'm going to go to page 4 here, and there's my content. Well, this is great because it's filled it in, and it's put this content in here, but guess what? When I try to Shift Command or Shift Control click to get to my picture box, I can't because it's locked, and because I released the text container, it's now sitting on top. So I'd have to move my container, unlock my picture box, but then where do you put this back in location? You know, was it here? Was it here? Not a smart idea. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to my master page, and I'm going to select my image container, and on my layers panel, I'm going to create a new layer. This is going to be my image, or my images, and I'm going to put this above on a separate layer. That way, when I go to my pages panel, and I go to any page in the document here, if I want to release my text container by using my Shift Command or Shift Control click, it releases this. And if I go to my image container and I use my Shift Control, it will release that. Why? Because the images are always on top. So that's one of the smart moves you should probably go through and do. Okay? So when I Shift Command click or Shift Control click, now I've got my image container. I can go under File Place. I can bring my image in, and I bring it in, but unfortunately, it's really big, and I have to tweak this image. So I'm going to go back to my master page here, and I'm going to set it up so when the images come in, the images are going to fit perfectly and I don't have to resize them. So back on the master page, I select my image container, I go under Object, choose Fitting, and I'm going to go to my frame fitting options. Now, what I want to choose is I want to fill the frame proportionately. Fitting the content proportionately will fit it so you see the entire image. So you may have space on the top and bottom because of a wide image, or you may see space on the left and right because it's a tall image. I want to fill the frame proportionately so that the entire image fits that frame so that I don't see any white top or bottom or left or right. Now I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to go back to my document right here, and with my image container right there, I can go under File Place. Now here's an interesting thing. I don't need to unlock that image container because InDesign is smart enough to know that because you called this a graphic or an image container and it's there waiting for you, but it's locked on the master page here, if I go into the File menu and choose Place, grab a picture, and I hover over this image, do you notice how I have my loaded cursor and I've got that angle with that little picture in there? But if I touch the image container or the graphic container, that little picture will change to parentheses. It knows that it's going to go in there because I defined it as a graphic container. And it also knows to unlock it so I can place it in there and then it fits it all proportionately. Now that's pretty sweet. And then of course I can always double click and kind of move this up and down and around to make it fit perfectly, but I don't have to go in and tweak this as much because I've already set up those parameters in my master page, which is very cool. Now, one more thing that I'd like to talk about here is flowing copy in. Now, when we came to this document, I had to Shift Command or Shift Control click and unlock my page, unlock my text container to flow copy in. And that wouldn't be a very good idea because then I have to do that on every page of my document, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm going to drag my master page back on here to lock everything back in here. So I've locked my text container and my image container. If I want to type in manually, I do have to Shift Command click and unlock my container. However, if I would like to flow in, say, a Word document, I'm going to go into the File menu and choose Place. I'm going to grab my Word document, and with this Word document, I've turned on my Show Import Options. When I went under File Place, there's a checkbox that says Show Import Options. And I'm bringing a Word document, and I just want the basic Word document, so I choose Remove the Styles and Formatting, so I get just the basic text with no formatting. Now, my text container is locked. Well, I have my loaded cursor, and if I take my loaded cursor and I draw a text container here, then I'm going to get a text container that doesn't match my master page. However, I'd like to go in and I want to flow my copy. Right now I'm on page 3, and I'd like to flow my copy into my existing container that's on my page. So you notice when I'm outside the text container, I get the square box for the cursor, but when I go inside the container, it turns into parentheses. It knows that there's a text container on this page, and it knows that it's locked. I don't have to unlock it when I'm placing copy like this. So I hover over that existing text container, and I click, and it flows it all in. And it flowed it in, plus it was smart enough to know to add pages to the document, and it linked those pages and text containers together. So it automatically did this, and it's like, wait a second. Well, this is one of the cool things working with master pages and working with flowing copy in. So I'm going to back up here, and I'm going to show you how this did it. Okay? So here, I'm on page 3, and page 4 and 5 are here. I don't know how long this text container is, or how many pages it's going to take up, but because I created a text container on the master page, and I go under File Place, and I'm placing my Word document, and I click here, you'll see I get this plus in the corner. Very quickly it goes away, and it automatically adds pages in, and it also links those pages together. So let's take a look here under the extras. We're going to show the text threads. It automatically links those pages together here for text flow. So as I edit, all these pages are going to be linked together. So if I take out content, it will automatically allow me to go in and flow to the next page. Well, that's pretty cool, okay? I love it. How does that work? Well, let's go under the Preferences panel here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Type menu. And we have turned on what is called Smart Text Reflow. And what it does, when you flow copy in from a Word document, it automatically adds pages to the end of the story. The story is the container or the linked text containers from that Word document. And the default is to limit to primary text frames. Well, what's a primary text frame? It's just a fancy way of saying a text frame that was created on a master page. So the Smart Text Reflow says, oh, if you have a text container on the master page and you go in and you flow copy into a page in the document, automatically add pages to the end of the story, as many as you need based on that master page, but it's only going to happen when you put a master page text frame on the page. So here it went ahead and added several more pages for me to get my entire story in. Now, of course, if I want to put pictures in here, I can just go under the File menu and choose Place. The Pages panel works in the same way as a single-page master page. The difference is that a master page now consists of what looks like 2 pages. And if I double-click on my master page here, the difference between a single and a facing page master page is that the facing page master pages will have a left and a right-hand section. Now what's interesting with this is you've set up a facing page master page document. Whatever you put on the left-hand master page will only show up on the left-hand side of the document. So let me show you. If I go and put in the word right here, so this is my right-hand side, I put this in, you'll notice when I go to page number 1 here, it shows the right-hand side. The left-hand side doesn't show anything. And even if I took the right-hand page and dragged it onto the left-hand page to apply it, it won't apply it. So when you set up facing pages, you always have a left-hand and a right-hand side. Now I set this up beforehand, and I set this up so that my document is going to be laid out to be a left and a right-hand side. You'll also notice that I put my page numbers in the corners here symmetrically, so that when you open the book, you'll have them left and right. And there's my logo at the top and all of my other content. Now, if I want to go in and decide that I'm going to put in columns on my page, I can go under my Layout menu, Margins and Columns. I'm going to set this up maybe as 3 columns here. Now, why is it only doing it to the left-hand side? Because I only have the left-hand side of my master selected. So can I go in and do different layouts even on the same master page? Yes, you can. If you want 2 columns on one side, 3 columns on the other, simply select the one page. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go in and shift-click and select both pages so that I can then go in, set my margins and columns so that all of this content is going to be consistent on both of my pages. There it is. Now, this is my layout right here. Not a problem. It's looking good. Now when I go into my document here, I'm ready to rock and roll. Now, like I talked about in single pages here, I would want to set up text containers on this page as well. So I'm going to draw a text container on the first page, and I'm going to set that up to make it 3 columns wide, just like that, okay? And then I'm going to Option or Alt click and drag that over so that's perfectly symmetrical from one side to the other. So I'm going to turn off my guides for a second so you can see those containers. Now, because I'm using facing pages here, I would like my copy to flow in from one container to another. So to make this happen, on the master page, I'm going to select my first container, I'm going to go down to the lower right-hand corner, and just above the lower right-hand corner, I have my overflow box, but it's also my text thread box. And I'm going to thread or connect these, link these containers together so that the copy will flow continuously through my document instead of getting stopped at the end of each and every page. Selecting my first text container, I'm going to click on that overflow button. I get my loaded cursor, the arrow shows up, and because I have my text container over here, I hover over this and I press that little link icon, and now these are linked together. And if I go under my view menu and turn on my text threads, it's going to show me those are connected together. So now I've connected them, and if I flow copy into my document, they'll automatically flow from page to page as it goes. Nice feature. Okay, there I have it. So there's my containers. Everything is set up here. Same way we set up master pages with a single page, we do it with a facing page. Just keep in mind that you're going to have a left and a right-hand side. Now as we go in, you can see that my page numbers are working here, page 2, 3, 4. That all works, and I can add as many pages as I want to this document with this setup. Keep in mind when you're doing a book, always make sure the number of pages in the book are equally divisible by 4. You can't have 6 pages in a book. It's either 4, 8, 12, or 16. So I'm going to go in and add another 4 pages after here to create a signature, and this is going to be 8 pages. Why? Because if you take a piece of paper and fold it in half, you're going to have a front, a back, an inside left, and an inside right. You can't just add a single page to a facing page document. It's always going to be in equal groups of 4, so keep that in mind. Now, same thing like we said on the other single page document. If you did want to put any image containers here, I'm going to go back to my master page. And if I did want to put an image container in, I can draw a container. And with that container, I'm going to set that. So under the object, under content, saying that's a graphic, apply any colors that I'd like to the frame if I want any drop shadow. And then I'm also going to go under my text wrap, and I'm going to apply the text wrap around the object as well, so that I get a text wrap around my image so the text doesn't run up against it. And then create a new layer with my object selected. I'm going to drag the little colored crouton right up to the image layer, name that image layer so that my images will always be on top, so that when I unlock any of this content on the master page, it doesn't put the text container in front of my image because the images are always on a layer up above. And then I can duplicate this as I go through, and now I have the symmetry on both pages, looking good, ready to flow my copy in. Let's go back to the Pages panel here, and let's take a look. That's looking pretty good. Now if I start with page number 1, go into the File menu and choose Place, I'm going to place my Word document. There's my loaded cursor, and I simply hover over the existing text container. Now, don't have to draw one. I click on that, and it's going to go, and it's going to flow all the content in over all that pages that I've set in. You can see the text linking is already set up because I told it to in the master page, and it flows in the content, and I'm all ready to go. I want to import an image here, go under File, Place, grab the image, and I click on my existing graphic container. It fits it. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do the fitting on that page. Go back to my master page. I forgot to tell it to fit proportionately. So let's go under Fitting, Frame Fitting Options, and say, oh yeah, I got to fill the frame proportionately right there. Do the same thing here. Good thing we checked that. So Fitting, Frame Fitting Options, fill the frame proportionately. Wonderful. Now that should work. Now, if I go back in here, let's go to the next page and see if that works. File, Place, grab the image, and place it in there. Ah, it fits. Beautiful. Now, can I go in and rework these pages? Of course I can. If I decide that I would like to put this container down here at the bottom to move my content around, of course I can do that, okay? Because maybe I want to put this in a different location. This I don't have access to because it's locked right now from the master page. So I'm going to Shift Command or Shift Control click, unlock this, and I'm going to move this over here. Okay, there it is. Now, don't want to move both of them, just want to move the image container. There we go. Okay, there it is. Text frames, text wrap is on there. Now I decide that text frame on both the left and the right needs to be a little bit heavier. So I'm going to bump up the text frame or the image frame around here, and I'm going to tint this, and so it's gray instead, but a bigger frame. And I go into my document, and you'll notice that even though I unlocked and moved these items around, it still has a connection to the master page, which is pretty cool. Okay? So when you Shift Command or Shift Control click and you unlock it, you aren't really breaking the link to that master page. What you're doing is you're just simply saying, hey, link it, but I'd like to put it in a different location. Not a problem at all. That's why master pages work so incredibly well. I just absolutely love it. Now, you can create a new set of master pages here as well. So if I choose a new master, and it's going to be by B master, number of pages is 2, left and right, and click OK. And on this set of master pages, I could go in and set different margins and columns, different numbers of columns here, and as I showed you before, you can also select one page and change the layout just on one page. So that, say, my left hand is going to be 3 columns, or my left hand is going to be 2 columns, my right hand is going to be 3 columns, no problem at all. And then I can use my automatic page numbering by going back to my A master page, copying my automatic page numbering from here, copy, go back to my B master page here, and then you choose my edit, paste in place, so those fit exactly where they should be. And now with my B master page, anything that I apply the B master page to on the left-hand side of my document will have 2 columns, and this will have 3. So multiple different things you can do with these pages, which is great. Now, a couple things here in the Pages panel. I have my pages listed as vertical, and you can change the look of these master pages by going into the cheese grater, and under the page attributes, or the view pages, you can go in and say, I want to view them horizontally, which will then list them out horizontally, and as you expand this, it'll fill that space. With facing pages, I like to have them vertically because I think of facing pages as a book. So when I see this, this is how I visualize a book with a front cover and then the back cover with all the pages here. Now when we're dealing with single pages here, you can list them as single pages, or again, go into the Pages cheese grater, go under Views Pages, and then choose horizontally so they fill this way. You can copy colors from one document to another, paragraph styles from one document to another, but you can also copy master pages from one document to another. If I have my master pages set up in a file and I create a new document and I decide that I'd like to have a facing page document and I'd like to bring in master pages from an existing document, I don't have to go to this document, go to the master page, copy everything, which I could do. I can simply create a new document, and in the Pages panel, go into the cheese grater and under Master Pages, and I can load master pages from another file. So if I choose Load Master Pages, I'm going to go to my files, go to the file where I have my master page document set up here. Here's my InDesign document. Just simply point to the InDesign document and double click. And it'll say, okay, we can bring these in. Do you want to add to the master pages or just replace the ones that are there? Here, I'm just going to replace the ones that are here because I haven't really done anything with them. I choose Replace. They come in, and then there's my document. It brought all that content right in there to the master page. Pretty nice. Now, one of the things I want to show you here is how do I go in and create multiple master pages that are going to be based on another master page? Well, this is pretty simple. So here I may have different sections of my document that I'd like to change the color and change the type here. So I'm going to go into my master page here, and I'm actually going to get rid of my B master page. I haven't used it yet. I'm just going to get rid of that just by selecting it and clicking on the trash can. Now I go to my A master page, I go to the cheese grater, and what I'd like to do is I would like to say new master page. And here I would like to base it on my A master page to have all the same content. So I click based on my A master page, and there it is. So there's my B master page, and everything looks exactly the same. And funny enough, everything's locked as well. Okay, why? Because this master page is based on my A master page, so it locks it. Well, here I want to unlock this content. Yes, I'm still on the master page, so I'm going to unlock the content, and so I'm going to unlock my text first, because if I unlock my image from behind, it's going to cover up my text. I know, crazy. Then I'm going to unlock this box. So here I may want to create a different section where I use a different color for my tabs. So I'm going to unlock my copy, and then I'm going to unlock my container, set a different color, and there I have it. And I may go in and make sure I got the right color here so that it matches the other side. And now I may go in and I may change my text right here and change it to whatever I want to have so that I can have a different heading here. So maybe this go and say costs. There it is. So now I have a different master page. Okay. So what are the benefits of basing one master page on another? Well, if I go to my A master page and I decide that these tabs need to move down, and I select these, and I move them down the page here, like this. If I go to my B master page, you'll notice that those also move down the page. So basing a master page one on another just gives me the flexibility of keeping things consistent without having to reconstruct the master pages. So it's kind of nice. Here I can have as many master pages as I'd like, and then I can go to my pages cheese grater, say insert pages, say, okay, I'd like 4 more pages after page 4, but I'd like them based on my B master page. Click OK. So now I can start off with my A master pages, going through, and then starts with my B master pages right through there. So very nice way to set this up, very efficient, and using master pages is going to make your life so much easier, setting up your templates so that everything remains the same, it's easy to edit, and you've got the consistency across all of your pages in your document.